What's up, you guys, and welcome to the channel. My name is Chase, and today we'll be talking about my impressions, my review, my thoughts on Terrifier 2 and 3. If you have not seen my Terrifier 1 thoughts and impressions video, go ahead, check that one out. But now it's finally time to talk about Terrifier 2 and 3. And I can see why this has a cult following. I can see why this movie is beloved by so many people and why Art honestly could be the next horror slasher icon, because there's not much in competition with him already as is, but he is very consistent and he's obviously topping the previous movies each time a newer sequel comes out. So my thoughts on Terrifier 2 and 3. My main drawback when it comes to these movies is the runtime, because oh my gosh, Terrifier 2 felt like the runtime it was. I believe it was like 2 hours and 30 minutes, which I think is absurd for a slasher movie, because all you're doing is, you know, hurting people, killing people. That's all you're doing. And to see that there wasn't that much of a story, there were so many plot threads that they were opening up, but they would never really like wrap up or end. I'm just like, we had 2 hours and 30 something minutes with this movie. Why do I come out having more questions that I kind of had, but I have more questions on top of those questions I had, and they're not even solved. Heck, they're not even solved in the third one if we're really going to talk about it. So in Terrifier 2, I love the fact that we now have a cast of characters that we are actually supposed to be attached when it comes to Sienna and Jonathan, her brother, her little brother to be specific, because in this movie, we're basically having a main character to follow instead of the first one, which, like I said, felt all over the place. At least right here, we get a bit centered with some characters to actually follow. And strangely enough, and I'm gonna be talking a bit spoilerish because these movies have been out for a while, and I'm pretty sure you guys have already seen these movies. When we talk about her having to be linked to Art somehow through her dad, who died from a massive tumor but was somehow obsessed with Art, I was like, okay, sometimes I don't like the whole, oh, this person is tied to this person, so this person has to survive that. So sometimes it kind of leaves that sense of looming danger above you like gone, because it's like, all right, I know that she has to survive because she has that little magical dagger that she has to hit him with at the end of Terrifier 2, and I'm like, all right, I know she's gonna survive. But Terrifier 3, oh, it threw that out the window, because at one point I was like, yo, she might actually die in this movie. This is crazy right here. And some of the cliffhangers that they actually leave us with on 2 and 3, I'm like, oh, okay, I am in here for the ride itself. Now, with each of these Terrifier movies, Art obviously gets a lot more vicious. And in 2, he got really, really vicious. I mean, when you add salt to the wound, literally, if you've seen the movie, oh my gosh, the things that he is doing in this movie, he's a monster. He's a savage. And I like that. Now, when it comes to a horror icon, there has to be something iconic about them. And with Art being in this conversation now, he is a mixture of a lot of slasher like icon elements. Like, he doesn't have every single thing, but he has a little bit of pieces from each one, because he's obviously very silent. He does not talk, but his facial expressions is what gets you. And the way he's just, first of all, way too strong for how small he is, right? But the fact of his way of killing is just so creative, and it sounds so weird to say that and praise that, but the way you see him do certain things, it's kind of a bit cartoonish, especially when he's like just pulling a limb off. No tool, no nothing. He just pulls the limb off straight up, and I'm like, this is so absurd. This is so obscene. But this is why I really like this series right here. I'm just a sad, sick man. But Art the Clown to me definitely has a lot more presence within these movies. But when it comes to the runtime of the movie, that's one thing that I've already talked about a bit. But let me talk about it a little bit more, because you can see in certain scenes where the director, Damien Leon, he tries to like set the scene, but he takes too long to set the scene, and he just wants to build on that one scene. I'm just like, that could have been cut down like a few minutes. Like, I didn't need all this other stuff that didn't apply to anything in the movie. And I get it, because the way that the movies play out, it's character, plot, whatever. Then it goes to Art, you know, doing his mischievous killing thing. Then it goes back to plot, and then it goes back to Art, and it keeps doing that back and forth in each of the movies until we get to the final scene where the main character Sienna and Jonathan both meet up with Art himself. And while that is a bit predictable to a degree, it's more so like you getting this plot, you getting this story right here. Okay, now let's give you what you actually really came for, and that's to see Art do his dang thing. And he does his dang thing, because in 3, vicious. I don't know why. I feel like the kills in 2 were a bit more vicious, but I know 3 has a lot of controversial takes, because Art is on that F them kids time, and I'm not gonna lie, going into a movie and seeing him do that, the way people talked about it, I thought it was gonna be a lot more gruesome than what it actually was. And while it is still gruesome, but we don't actually see him like do anything to the kids, but you know, it's a lot more implied horror, right? Or a lot more like this is the result of what he did, and you see like a chopped up body, or you see the bomb go off in the mall itself. And I was just like, huh, we're really like going over the boundaries right here with this boy Art. I could dig it. Now, I'm not too mad at that. I'm glad I didn't see anything happen to the kids on screen, because I don't know, that might be like that one line that I really crossed. There's a few lines I kind of crossed when it comes to horror, but that might be the one line I crossed. Like seeing the result, I'm like, all right, cool. He's a maniac. He's a psycho. You know, he has no filter. He doesn't have like a certain demographic he goes for. He says, yo, it's F everybody. Not just F the women, not just F the men, not just F the teenagers, nah, F them kids too. I'm just like, oh, okay, especially with the opening of the movie. Okay, and he tries to go for a new wardrobe design in 3. I'm like, this guy's just goofy. And I like the fact that that really shows within his personality, even though he's a character who kind of like mimics more of a mime than he does a clown to me, because he's very silent. I know that there's silent clowns, but to me, mimes are more, you know, suggestive of what Art looks like, especially with the whole black and white scheme that he rocks. But overall, for me, when it comes to Terrifier 2, I thought the plot was still a bit weak. You could definitely see the budget increase within it, but the plot was still weak. The performances were still a bit spotty for me, and it looked like a straight to streaming movie, which is an upgrade from a straight to DVD $5 bin in a Walmart or a dollar store. So it is an upgrade from Terrifier 1, but Terrifier 2, like I said, is an upgrade. But for me, Terrifier 3 is the one where I'm just like, okay, we're here. We shaved off the 30 minutes that was way too long within Terrifier 2, and we're a bit more consistent with the actual story itself. Not too many characters we have to follow. We have some of these side characters that we know are eventually just going to be fodder for Art, but I do like the dynamic between Sienna and Jonathan, her brother, because what they established in the second movie to what it's built upon in the third movie, I really do enjoy. And it really does suck that Jonathan died. I am skeptical that he died, because the number one rule of movies is that if you don't see that character die on screen, then they're most likely not dead. So I'm pretty sure it's a fake out at the end of what happens at Terrifier 3, but it could be Jonathan. It could be, or Art could just be super sadistic and trying to get Sienna to think that was Jonathan, because they really tried to get that was Gabby at first. And I'm like, whoa. I was like, they really went there, but then they did the fake out. I was like, oh no, that's Jonathan. Gabby's still alive. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I didn't want to see Gabby like get, you know, torn down like that. But to see Jonathan got torn down, potentially, because like I said, we didn't see him die on screen. That could just be another head, or that could be his roommate's head for all we know. But then we have to talk about that mystical, magical element, the mythological element of Art, because honestly, I thought that this movie was going to give us a lot more like background on like who and what Art is. And it tries to, but it tiptoes around that. And especially with these movies being each at least 2 hours, I need some more backstory on Art. Like, I'm sorry, like we're 3 movies in and I literally know nothing about him. I just know that he is some type of supernatural being, because obviously he was able to come back from the first movie and the second movie, and he's still alive at the end of the third movie itself, even getting hit with the magical dagger, which is kind of crazy. The whole little concept of the little girl, I get it being tied into one of Art's murders, but where is she at in the third movie? Because in the second movie we see her take something off, but we don't see her in the third movie. But then in the third movie, we switch to the victim from the first movie, which I do like that they are still calling back to that victim from the first movie. The surviving girl from the first movie, he kind of turns evil and kind of turns into an accomplice of Art, even though we see at the end of 3 that really it's some possession thing that's taken over her, and that he or it has taken over its body, and now it wants Sienna's body in exchange for that body itself. Which, first of all, when Art was killing those 2 construction worker dudes in that building and she was getting off on that, that was so sick. And I really enjoyed that. Whoever like creates this movie, Damien Leon, he gotta be like a masochist or something, because he must love pain or something, because a lot of gruesome stuff, a lot of nasty stuff was in this movie. And some of the blood effects, like when she was getting out of that tub when she was being resurrected, I'm like, oh, it's so nasty, but I can't stop watching. I don't know, man. I just love stuff like that. But my main takeaways from these Terrifier 2 or 3 movies, I do enjoy 3 the most. 3 to me looks the most cinematic. It looks the most quality, obviously, because of the bigger budget and things like that. But 2 was definitely a step in the right direction. It's just coming from a movie that's like an hour and 30 minutes to a movie that's 2 hours and 30 minutes, an hour longer than the previous one. and you're not really explaining much, I have my gripes, I have my qualms. But when we get to the third one, it's like, all right, you condense it a little bit. These scenes still kind of linger a bit too long for my liking, which we could have cut that down, because honestly these movies could really be an hour 30, an hour 40, especially if you're not doing a lot of exposition plot heavy things with the movie itself. But I know you want to do a lot of showcasing of art's skills, you know, his craft. But when it comes to these movies being this long, to me, that's the biggest deterrent for me. And that's what scares me of actually going to the movie theaters to watching this, because at least in the sanctity of my own home, I can kind of pause it, do whatever I want, because these movies are long. But when it comes to a movie theater, I'm locked in. I'm there for the experience. Like no phone, no like looking away. I'm fully immersed within the actual movie experience. And if the next movie, Terrifier 4, because obviously there is one coming, I can't have it be 2 hours, man. Like that 2 hours, it got to be doing a lot of explaining. And I also don't want the series to go on too long for its welcome, because I don't want it to be another Freddy or another Jason or another Chucky, even though because this is the next horror icon slash slasher that we're really getting from the horror genre, it might have to do that, because honestly, who else is taking, you know, the helm of that? But overall with me, Terrifier 2 and 3, I enjoyed them. I like the direction that they're going with art, and I can see why art has a cult following, and I can see why these movies are beloved to some. I can see why some people really do like these movies. I honestly like these movies. 2 or 3 are movies that I would definitely buy on Blu-ray. Hopefully there's some whole like complete set that will come out on 4K that I could buy one day. That way I could just have them, because he is entering that pantheon of not necessarily legendary figures, but he is definitely stepping into the iconic role to where we're going to be talking about him with Chucky and Jason and Freddy at some point one day, hopefully. But that's about it for my thoughts on Terrifiers 2 and 3. I think that they are better movies than the first one. 2 just ran on way too long, but it does have things that it upped from the first movie. But 3 is to me where it's like, all right, we're firing on all cylinders. There's still some flaws in it, but I really had a good time with this movie itself. But you guys let me know what you thought about this down in the comment section down below. Like I said, thank you guys for watching. If you're new to the channel, you haven't already, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, post notification bell, and don't forget to comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. But that's been another video. My name is Chase. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.